Shalom. Welcome back to Hebrew Literacy. We are continuing through our immersion medium paced in the book of Eichah. That's Lamentations. Today we will be starting with Lamentations chapter 5. And please don't be discouraged if you prefer or are more used to the slower paced directed immersion where we direct you about everything and we do markups on the screen, or sometimes we just explain it all. We'll be getting back to that when we're done with this book. I think it's useful for the mind to shift gear sometimes. And even if you don't understand everything, it's still good to go at a faster pace with less explanation, because believe it or not, it's going to take root in your mind somewhere. And then sometime in the future, you'll see a word that you saw here in Lamentations and you'll see it again, and there'll be a mental peg, and you'll go, I've seen this before. Where was that? And sometimes you'll remember it was in Lamentations, and then you'll have that nice connection. All right, so let's get with it. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 1 in the Hebrew. Zechor Adonai mehaya lanu habita u'ra'ei et chelpatenu. Zechor, this is an imperative. It's a command form from the word zachar, zayin kafresh, meaning remember. So remember, O Yod-He Waw-He, O Adonai, me haya lanu, me, what, haya, happened, to, nu, to us, lanu. Habita. So it seems there's a ketiv Qere with this one. Yep, the ketiv says habita, which if we just went with that, I would say this is probably like a precative perfect. And then there's a Qere. Oh, pardon me. The Qere is habita with a hey at the end. And the ketiv is habet. Interesting. So they wrote the Qere here instead of the ketiv. Might be something happening with the apparatus there. Anyway, I'm just going to stick with what we have written, the consonantal form. Since we already had the command, zachor, I'm going to treat this perfect form, habita, a he-fil perfect of the verb navat, nun, beit, tet. I'm going to treat this as a precative perfect, which is like a softer way to make a request. So that would make sense with the parallelism of already having an imperative. And it would tone down the imperative a bit as well. So navat in the he-fil form has a few different meanings. It's like to look at something, to gaze upon something. And that's actually what we're going to go with. So like inspect, look, ure'e, and notice, literally, and see, another imperative. Et chelpatenu. Chelpa is disgrace or reproach. The chelpat of nu, of us, our disgrace. Verse 2. Nachalatenu nehefcha lezarim batenu lenochrim. Nachala is inheritance. Usually we're talking about a land inheritance. Of nu, of us. Nachalatenu, our inheritance. Nehefcha has been overturned. The verb is hafach, he, pe, kaf. And this is what's used when a city's overturned. It's used in also, it's kind of a gezerah shava, makes you think about Sodom and Amorah, what happened there, where they were overturned. This is a nifal, so that means it's going to be like passive. Nehefcha, it was overturned, or how it was overturned. We might be getting a double duty strength from the meh up above. It feels like it should say how it was overturned. Lezarim, for zarim. A zar, zayin resh, is an alien, a stranger. Batenu, our houses. Batim is the plural of bait. And you drop the mem, bate, our houses of, nu. Batenu, our houses, le nochrim, for nochrim, foreigners. Nice poetry here using two different words for foreigners. Both of them not good. Verse 3. Yetomim hayinu. Ein av imotenu ke'almanot. Yetomim. This is from the word yatom. Yod, tav, vav, mem. Yatom, which is a without an orphan. I want to say without a parent. So orphans, hayinu, hayinu, we were. Ain, and there is a weird spelling here on the ain. Notice we have the schwa with nothing there. So let's look and see. So that's the ketiv form. The kere is the ain. So that would make, that's why the Masoretes put the schwa there, even though there's no consonant. And so this should open the eyes of many of you who think that they don't do this with Adonai. Like up here, the tetragrammaton, Yod He Waw He, and it's the vowels for Adonai, so we know to read it Adonai. And I know there's a crazy out there who's saying, no, that's actually how you pronounce it. It's Yeho. And then the second part he says is Va. It's just not. It's just not. Only from ignorance of the Masorah could someone come to this conclusion. You know, we have the same thing happening here. There's a schwa, there's no letter that can even accommodate the schwa, because they're telling us that the way they had it memorized in tradition was the ain. So ve'ain, and there is not, or there are not, of, a father. Imotenu. Emot means mothers, of nu, of ours. So the idea is, the idea of the orphan, it's more like fatherless, right? Like half orphans. Which back then, to not have a father, the financial effect was pretty much the same as not having either parent, right? There wasn't a whole lot that a woman could do to make money, to make ends meet. Ke alamalmot. Okay, so ein av or ve'ein av, there was no father. Pause. Imotenu, our mothers, were like almanot, widows. Verse 4, the mem verse. Meimenu bechesef shatinu, aitzenu bimchil yavou. Meimenu. So this is from the word mayim, and may, waters of nu, of us. So our waters, which we just say water, it only occurs in the plural in Hebrew. Our water, bechesef, oh, hold on, let me see if there's an alternate form here. So interesting. So the Septuagint says ex hemeron. So it's interpreting this as mi yamim shelanu. So mi yamenu, from our days, instead of from our waters. So that's kind of interesting. Mi yamenu. But here it's me menu. We'll go with the way the Sora has it. Instead of from our days, from our waters. Bekhesev, with silver, or you could just say money. Shatinu, from the verb shata, shin, tav, hey, which means to drink. So shati, verbs in it and a hey, they get this yod in there. Don't think that that's like a hefil or something, right? So for example, like ra'ah, he saw, the hey goes away. Ra'inu would be we saw. Ra'inu. So shata, he drank. Shatinu, we drank. That's just the pattern it follows. Pane, he turned. Paninu, we turned, etc. So meimenu bechesef shatinu. So it's something like we paid for our water, which today is not that crazy. Those of you who drink bottled water. Aitzenu bimchir yavo'u. Aitzenu. Our wood, eitz meaning tree or wood, our wood, be, with a mechil. This is the word usually it's used for bride price, actually. So it's kind of an interesting word to see it nuanced as just price, right? So I think the text is hinting that it's a very high price. So our wood with a price, yavo'u, comes. So our wood comes with a price. Verse 5, the ayin. Al savarenu nirdofnu. Actually, nirdafnu, because it's got the accent here, so we don't have to make it a closed, unaccented syllable. It's closed, accented. Nirdafnu yaganu lo hunach lanu. So let's see, what do the notes here say? So the critical apparatus is suggesting that these two together, that al savarenu, which by itself, if we just take it at face value, means upon or against our necks. It's suggesting that instead of al savarenu, that it might have been al artsenu, upon our land or against our land. But I think that's a bit of a stretch to swap these out and lose the vav and all that stuff. And what's the B? Let's see the B. Okay. Per Septuagint, the Septuagint, which they would have translated this not having the vowel markers there, right? So they read this as rol instead, a yoke, a yoke. And then we see this. Oh yeah. So a yoke upon our neck, right? Or a yoke, the yoke of our neck. If we go with the way the Septuagint translates, if we just go the way it is in Masorah with the scribal tradition, then it's upon our necks or upon our neck. Nirdafnu. So this is a participle niphal from radaf, to pursue. So nirdafnu, trying to make sense of this. Maybe we treat it as the pursuers of nu are pursuers, like those who pursued us, right? So we were pursued. We were pursued, or our pursuers. Yeah, upon our neck or the yoke of our neck, either way, was our pursuers. Yaganu, yaganu. This is the verb yod gimel ayin, which is to be weary, right, or to toil. So yaganu, we were weary. So the yoke seems to fit better here. The old, perhaps, rather than just al. Lo hunach lanu. Lo, not. Let me see what else is. Okay, we have there's a schwa. I was just looking at the consonants, so I missed that schwa that's out there in outer space by itself. But you'll notice that's reminding us that the tradition, the Qere, is velo. There should be a vav here, right? Velo, and not hunach. Hunach, if this is the right form, this is a hofal binyan from the verb nuach. Nun, shurik, or that's vav, chet, which is to rest, right? To settle down, right? So this would be like to be caused to settle down, to be caused to rest, right? Or to be set somewhere, right? Because oftentimes that verb to rest in a hefil, which is the active form of hofal, it can have the idea of to set someone somewhere, to place them somewhere. So was placed, was set, was caused to rest, lanu, for us. Let me just see the notes here. Okay, they're just guessing that it might be hunach. We'll go with the written thing rather than just what the scholars are guessing. Verse 6, Mitzrayim natanu yad Ashur lisboa lachem. Mitzrayim, that is Egypt. Natanu, or natanu, we natan, we gave, yad, a hand. We offered a hand. So this can mean a couple of things. It can be like, even in modern times, we offer our hand, like to shake hands, like to be allies. Yeah, maybe just leave it like that for now. Ashur, that's Assyria. Lisboa, to satisfy. Lachem. This is the word lechem. It's just in Pausal form, so it changes to lachem because it's got the saluk, strong accent mark there. Bread. Okay, so it's like making alliances with these pagan enemies so that we might survive. Let me move it up a bit. Verse 7. Avotenu chateu. Einam, there's something missing here, very interesting. Anachnu. Avonotehem savalnu. Avotenu. The avot, ancestors of Nu. Our ancestors, chateu, they sinned. Einam, if it's just like this, einam, that means they are not. Like ein doesn't exist, or they are not them. So they are no more. Let me see what the notes are. So we have all right, we have the floating schwa again. So instead of just einam, it's va anam, and they are no longer, right? That's the result. The vav oftentimes can be like so. So we could say avotenu chateu va anam. Our ancestors sinned, so for the vav that you don't see, they are no longer, they are no more. Anachnu, we, anachnu means the same thing as nachnu, so we, although the carry is ve, interesting, okay. Okay, va anachnu, okay. I see, so it's ve enam and va anachnu, okay, fine. Here, this actually should have been here. Didn't quite render properly. That's what threw me off. So this is saying there would have been a vav here, the way it's memorized. So it's memorized as ve enam va anachnu. Okay, they are no longer, and we avolnotehem. So avolnot is iniquities of them. So we their iniquities or their guilt. Sometimes the cause of the avon, it leaves a stain, right? It leaves the result of it, right? Just like we've talked quite a few times about the concept of the more you have emunah, the more often you practice emunah with an aleph, faith, then over time you build up your betachon, your confidence in the Lord, right? It's like your gas tank is being filled, right? You're getting gas from the emunah, it's purchasing the betachon. This similar thing, avon, intentional sin, produces avon, guilt. In this case, the same word, guilt. So their guilt, or by means of their guilt, because it's coming before the verb, savalnu, savalnu. Saval is to bear, like there's a burden, like burdened nu us, we burdened. Verse 8, the ayin. And by the way, you'll notice we're no longer in acrostic mode. I was just glancing to see what's next, and we have another ayin in the next verse. So ayin, it's no longer an acrostic. Avadim mashalu vanu. Porek ein miadam. Avadim. Slaves or servants. Mashalu vanu. So the verb mashal is to rule, and syntactically it requires a bait usually. Whatever's being ruled gets a bait, right? So mashalu. So the fact that we have the subject first, it's showing special emphasis. So it's like slaves, mashalu vanu. Slaves ruled over us. Porek ein miadam. Porek is tearing away. The idea like getting freedom. Ein, there was not miyadam, from their hands. So a porek, maybe a person. Oftentimes an active participle can actually be an office, right? So a person. So one to tear away, and we're getting maybe double duty from this nu here. One to tear away us. Ein, there was not miyadam. So one to tear us away miyadam, from their hand. Ein, there was not. You see? So slaves ruled over us. There was no one to tear us away from their power, from their authority, literally from their hands. Or from their hand, from the yad of miyad Okay, verse 9. Benafshenu navi lachmenu, mipnei cherev hamidbar. Benafshenu, with our nefesh, with our life, or our lives, navi. This is from the verb bo, beit aleph, beit vav aleph, to come or to arrive. And this is a he-fill form. You can see the yod jammed in there. The noon is for us. The noon reminds us of nachnu or nachnu, us. So with our lives we came, or we brought lachmeinu, our bread, lachmeinu, the lechem of nu, mipnei cherev hamidbar, mipnei, from the presence, or from the face of cherev, a sword, or the sword. This is a construct chain. The sword of the midbar, the wilderness. We say the sword because we have ha on the second word. We have to. Verse 10. L'oreinu ketanul nismal mipnei zarafot ra'av. L'oreinu, ayin vav resh, means it can be like it's skin when it's talking about a person, or leather if it's about an animal. Well, when they're dead, it's been processed to make leather. So oreinu, with our skin, or our skin, ke, was like tanul, a furnace. Nichmal, this is the verb kamal, kaf, mem rush. What's with me? Rush. Kaf mem resh. I'm a little tired, folks. Kama is to grow hot, or to get excitable. And this is a niphal from it. So it became as hot, or it grew as hot, mipnei, from the presence of zalafot. So this is an interesting word. Zalafa is like a fits, like raging, like rages, like of ra'av, of hunger. And zalafa also makes me think of like a hot tempest wind. Verse 11. Wait, do we do 10? Yeah, okay. Verse 11. Nashim betzion inu betulot be'arei Yehuda. Nashim betzion, women in Zion. Inu. This is from Anna, Ayin, Nun. Hey, don't confuse us with to answer. This is a homograph. And this is the PL form. The hey has gone away. So this means like to oppress someone, to humble someone. And in this context, it means rape. So Nashim Betzion Ainlu, women in Zion, they raped. Betulot Be'arei Yehuda, virgins in the cities of Judah. Okay, I think on that happy note, we'll stop. It's halfway through. If I try to do it all, it looks like it's going to be too long. We'll finish up tomorrow. Maybe I'll read through one more time. Just read the Hebrew and we'll be done. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 1. Zechor Adonai, mehaya lanu, habita ra'ei et chilpatenu, nachalatenu, nehefcha lezarim batenu lenochim, yetomim hayinu, ve'ein av imotenu, ke'almanot. Meimenu, bechesef shatinu, aitzenu bimchir yavo. Al tzavarenu, or perhaps Al tzavarenu nirdafnu, yaganu velo hunach lanu. Mitzrayim natanu yad, Ashur lishboa lachem. Avotenu chateu ve'enam va'anachnu. Avotehem savalnu. Avadim ashalu vanu. Porek ein miadam. בנפשנו נביא לחמנו מפני חרב המדבר. עורנו כתנור נחמר מפני זרעפות רעב. נשים בציון עינו בתולות בערי יהודה. I hope you guys aren't too overwhelmed. Hope you'll be encouraged. We're in the Word. No matter what else, we're in the Word. And sometimes even these sad ones need to be read, need to be remembered. This holy, inspired poetry. Shalom, shalom.